Interesting game, this football thing. A lot of credit to our guys and their preparation, how hard they play. We didn't play a clean game. Execution-wise was down for us, especially on the offensive side. Effort was there, the energy was there, the fire, the passion was there. Moved the ball, and it's very, very similar to last year's game against Arizona State, where we moved the ball 20-20 very, very well. And they got down the red zone and just missed the opportunities. Dropped 2 balls, missed 2 passes, ran a couple of bad routes, didn't sustain in the running game. So a lot of those things that kept us out of the end zone, those things that we did before we got to the red zone, we didn't continue to do there. But a lot of credit goes to our defense. 3 weeks in a row, defense playing their best football. Again, not perfect, but man, the energy, the passion, the fire, the pressure on the quarterback, much better against the run. The whole group is playing better and better, even with the injuries. A couple of obvious shout-outs. I mean, Josh Carty, we talked about during recruiting. When we first watched his film, it's one of those things you just keep rewinding and say, is that right? You know, you're watching a high school kid kick off, and it's not going 3 yards deep in the end zone. It's not going 8 yards deep in the end zone. It's not just going through the goalpost. It's going midway through the goalpost, like mid-high through the goalpost. And I kept watching it. We kept saying, at some point, this kid's going to be the best kicker in America. We may be there. You know, we may be there. Does a great job on his kickoffs. Does a great job on his field goals. Steady and consistent. And he's one of our leaders. I've called him a weapon for years, and that's exactly what he is. In the vein of preparation, a lot of kudos to our defensive staff also for getting ready for Ernest Cooper, a true freshman, to play. Having him know what to do. He's been working extremely hard. A couple of injuries. We had to put him out there. He pressured the quarterback. He got sacks. He ran some stuff down from the backside. He plays with energy and passion and fire, and fired up about what he showed today. And look forward to seeing him have some more opportunities as well, even as the other guys come back. But the bottom line for us is found a way to win. Doesn't have to be perfect. Like I told the team, nobody asked how you won, just if you won, and we did. It's 2 games in a row, and now we're going to play one of the hottest teams in our conference, one of the hottest teams in America down south. We can play with those guys. It's going to take a much cleaner effort than we had today. But we're going to be ready. We're going to go down there and prepare and give it our all and try to give ourselves the best chance to win. So I'll take questions.
You sort of alluded to it in your opening statement, but it's a roller coaster relationship after what happened 2 weeks ago with touchdown pass to see them, first ball and pass, catch at one, and to see it overturned. What was that emotional roller coaster like for you?
Those of you that know me, I don't typically do the emotional roller coaster. You know, I feel for my wife. I know she does. A lot of our families and friends do. But it's part of where we are right now. You know, I've accepted where we are. There are a lot of positives about where we are and a lot of things that we have to correct. But I told a couple of guys on the team today, hey, we got to play through some of our bad plays. You know, the world doesn't come to an end because we have a bad play. We come back and we had a couple difficult plays, and we came back and got a stop on defense. You know, had a couple difficult plays on offense, came back and got a first down. Now, I thought we did a great job on third down today, and we put ourselves in some difficult third down positions. You know, we have to clean up a lot of our, across the 50. But up until this point, we've been pretty good. We've got talented receivers, we've got a talented quarterback, we've got a talented tight end. We just got to connect. You know, we're missing not by much. You know, we're missing by inches. So, just not gonna wipe the whole thing clean. We're just gonna work on the things that we need to work on. Part of it is, hey, even our older guys, like we can't get so excited because it's there. Got so excited we missed a throw. We got so excited we ran a bad route. Got so excited we dropped the ball. We're gonna have opportunities to make plays. We just got to step up and make them. You know, the ups and downs will have a lot to do with us, and we just got to even some of those things out.
Michael? Michael Robertson, Sports Radio Service. So, Coach, how gratifying was it to get your first conference win at home, homecoming, and especially after that big win in South Bend?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. But there's an old coaching thing I heard a long time ago that I say sometimes too, which is like, you win one game, like you win the second one and make it count, right? Like that can't just be a standalone game. You want to win the next one to prove that it wasn't a fluke. So if to come back and find a way to win 2 in a row now, and we've played well 3 weeks in a row, even though that Oregon State game we didn't close it. But we're finding our groove in at least how hard we play. And how hard we push in finishing those games. So, the ball bounced our way a couple times, which is great because balls bounced against us a couple times too throughout the season. So, looking forward for this team to come back and see who's healthy this week from today, and then put together a good plan. Have our guys get ready to go down to Southern California and fight. And looking forward to this week.
Two things, if I can. One, any initial word initially on Filkins and Bonner at this point?
No word yet, but I would say next week is in doubt for both of them. We'll see where we are next couple days.
Okay. Pretty pass-heavy approach, it seemed, today. 35 passes called versus just 8 runs in the first half. 57 passes thrown by McKee today. What were some of the things that went into emphasizing, in particular, that phase of offense?
So, a lot of our offense right now is run pass option. So, I would say of those attempts, which that I heard that number a while ago, kind of shocked me because we didn't call that many passes. We called quite a few runs. He changed a couple of the runs to passes, and a couple of the runs have pass options. So a lot of those times you saw the ball go in a belly, that wasn't play action, those were runs. And he pulled it back out, threw the ball to early on, especially John Humphreys had some big plays. 2 of those I think were pulled out and thrown to Elijah. A couple were thrown to Ben. So a lot of those were called runs. So the quarterback did a great job of pulling the ball back out and taking advantage of some of those. I thought Ben Jurasik did an outstanding job today. So much man coverage. Which is the other part of the reason was they had all the guys down in the box. They're playing a lot of single high, a lot of man-to-man. So, we ran in there a couple times, and it was hard to find space. We bounced out on a couple of them. Casey slipped through in a couple of gap schemes. But for the most part, they're just a tight box in there and a lot of man-to-man outside. So even when we did call runs, they ended up being passes, and our passes, we wanted to attack that man coverage as well.
Defense obviously has been improving a lot over the last few weeks. What has been the key to that growth? Is it just guys gelling more? Is there anything you guys have done schematically or told them? Or just what's been the key to the defense's growth over the last few weeks, would you say?
So my answer to that question is kind of twofold. One is our defensive staff, I think, has done a good job of adjusting to our guys. Right? We came out of training camp with kind of an idea of what we wanted to do, and we've had to adjust that to a certain degree. We didn't have to take a bunch of stuff out and put a bunch of stuff in. It was just emphasizing different things. I'm not going to be specific there before you ask. But we've also had an interesting combination of high-rep experience guys, right? Caillou, Ethan. I mean, these guys have played a lot of football. Ricky Miezon, a lot of guys. But then some older guys that maybe hadn't played as much. I even put Pat Fields in there as a guy who's played a lot of football but hadn't played a lot of football with us. So finding where he's best. And then some of our young, inexperienced guys that maybe haven't played a lot of football. Right? Tobin Phillips is playing a lot more football now than he played earlier. So getting a feel for him and him getting used to playing. He's playing better and better and better. He doesn't get any of the accolades, but he's playing better and better. Then you got a really young guys like Jackson Moy, guys like I even put Lance Kennelly in that kind of getting used to playing, and he missed a bunch of time. Now he's back. David Bailey, him getting better and better. Ernest Cooper going in there. So we have a lot of young guys that are getting better as our coaches are saying, okay, well, now we have an idea of what we emphasize. We're also being a lot more aggressive as play callers and how we play. And our younger guys are getting more experience, so we're just kind of getting better and better and better, and hopefully that continues next week.
Yeah, can you just give us a little more background on Ernest Cooper, where he's come from, what he's shown, and how he got to this point?
Yeah, Ernest from right outside of Dallas. Ernest is long, obviously long. He's explosive. He's athletic. Showed up, and our edges are one of the deepest parts of our team, right? So early on, David Bailey coming in spring really helped him jump and get ahead, and so has been so dynamic. Ernest wasn't quite ready at the beginning of the season. Not to mention we had so many veterans out there. So he's been just working on the scout team. He and Tafiti, both of them, have just been working. They're like two of the first guys out there before practice, working on all their technique. Both those guys have gotten stronger. We knew one or both was going to have to play today. We leaned on Ernest. Ernest just has a little bit more size and length, and he didn't surprise us because what we've seen every single day of practice, he's gotten better and better throughout the year. His length, his speed, his athleticism. We knew he was going to be a superstar. We knew that when we recruited him. We just didn't know how soon. In our locker room, he became a superstar today. His passion, his energy, one of his first plays was a run away from him, and he ran it down from the backside. And that's what we saw in his high school film. That's what we've seen every single day of practice. Like I said, I think he's going to be a superstar for us, and looking forward to having him get some more reps throughout the season.
All right, Coach, Bryce Young was here today, and then you have McCaffrey being signed by the Niners, so he's back in the area. What type of morale does that, what type of boost in morale does that do for your players, and then also for you, that you coach these guys?
Yeah, talking about Bryce Love. Bryce Love was on the sidelines today, and last time we played Arizona State at home, he had 300 yards rushing. So a lot of guys remember that. But just having him come and be around, anytime our football alums come back, it's an uplifting thing for our guys because they see somebody who is in their shoes, they see somebody who has success and still wants to come back and pour knowledge back into our team. So excited to have Christian McCaffrey back in the Bay Area. I know he's ecstatic. John Lynch is ecstatic. Kyle Shanahan's ecstatic. The Niner Nation's ecstatic. I'm excited to have Christian kind of be around. He's got a job to do. It's going to be great, but he's not going to be too far away. And I know they have their days off, and love to see him. He's excited about being around. I'm excited for this push for him and that football team. That's just another weapon for Kyle to have, and I'm excited for him and their future.
Any other questions for Coach? Thank you, Coach.
Great. Thank you all.
I asked Coach Shaw the same question, but what, from your perspective, what's been the key to the defense's growth over these last few weeks?
And from my perspective, I think the biggest thing for our defense has just been energy. And then the second biggest thing, I think, has been guys being unselfish. Kevin Anderson was our honorary captain last week, and he gave a speech about doing your 1/11th and playing your play. I think the unique thing about defense is it takes 11 guys in the right spot every play, and you have to be unselfish. Like, the tackles will come to you. The moment you try to do too much or try to make a play, that's when there becomes holes, and that's when guys get big plays. So I think that's the biggest thing for us is the energy and then guys being unselfish.
You guys have strung together two back-to-back really good performances. How do you keep this momentum up against a really dynamic quarterback like DTR?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think for us, the key is to focus on ourselves. We're getting some guys back at the edge. We obviously had Aaron Armitage down. We had David Bailey down. And also to keep building on the performance that we had today, we had guys step up, like Ernest Cooper. We had Teva, who was ready to go. And I think for us, it's about focusing in on ourselves and making sure that we do the little things right. DTR is a very dynamic quarterback and is a dangerous weapon when he's uncomfortable in the pocket. So I think it's going to take disciplined rushes and disciplined coverages. And I think we're up for the challenge.
What were the emotions like for you on that last drive? I mean, you get them into 4th and long, they complete a long pass, 4th and long again. It seems like they complete another pass, but it's overturned. Just what was that like for you to experience?
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I think in those key situations where you have to play good defense to win, I think you just got to fall back on your technique. You can't let yourself get blinded by the circumstance, right? I think for me, it was just having to go out there and realizing that all I had to do was do my job. And I think every one of us thought the same thing. All we had to do was just do our job and we'd be fine. We had a shutout second half, and as long as we just kept doing what we were doing, it was going to stay that way.
Any other questions for Lance? Ben?
Just how satisfying is it for you guys to, in back-to-back weeks as a defense, get the game-winning stops after that not being the case against Oregon State? Just how sort of satisfying is that to, I guess, kind of see that kind of redemption and growth from that moment?
I think it's incredibly satisfying. We have a mantra on our defense. We want to be excited when we get put on the field, whether that be a sudden change like a turnover or turnover on downs or the end of the game. Like, defense is an exciting part of the game, and you have to want to play defense and want to do your best. Now, obviously, it's, you'd rather not be in that position, but it's good that the guys held it together and that we got our stops.
All right, thank you, Lance.
Thank you very much.
Doesn't need any introduction, but Josh McCarty's here. Questions?
Hi.
We'll start with Michael.
All right. First of all, how's your leg feel?
It feels good, a little tired, but just like always after a game. Feels good, though.
All right. So big moment today, homecoming, always a special moment. But did you feel that you would make this big of an impact on homecoming Saturday?
Sorry, could you repeat that real quick?
Did you feel that you would make this big of an impact on homecoming Saturday when you woke up this morning?
I try to keep like the external like dynamics kind of out of my head like in a game. So it was nice that it was homecoming, but for me when I woke up this morning, it was just kind of another game. Try to stay locked in as usual. And honestly, the difference was instead of waking up and like walking down to the elevator, eating breakfast, going back to my room, doing nothing for a couple hours, it was get up and go for earlier kickoff. So not much time to think about anything, but just glad I could contribute to the team and get a great team win today.
So how does it feel to kind of be one of the most clutch players in the country? And also, how good is the lakefront? I don't know if we got to see like the ultimate range today.
Yeah, no, it feels really cool when people come up to you and say like, you got ice in your veins and stuff. It's a lot of fun. I kind of try to embrace it as much as possible. It helps the confidence for sure, and just can't wait to get back out there next week against the Bruins. And yeah, the range question. If it's a dead day, like no wind either direction, I can feel comfortable about getting the distance, like pretty much every single time from 60, maybe low 60s, depending on like the temperature and stuff. Today, going towards the tunnel, I felt comfortable, maybe 60, 65, and then the other direction, a little bit less, probably like 57, 58, which is why we had to pass up on that 61 at the end of the half. But yeah, hopefully we can showcase it sooner or later. But more importantly, I'd rather win by multiple touchdowns at the end of the game. But yeah, thank you.
Yeah, two things. 7 for 7 over the course of the last couple of weeks or so, which is fantastic. However, there's also the other side that you've had to be called on to kick 7 field goals. So how do you kind of balance that out a little bit with your success kicking the ball, but maybe the offense's problems maybe punching it in for 6?
Yeah, and I think I heard a little bit of Lance's interview before this about having to be excited to play defense, and I think that's really good, because for me, when we're in the red zone or when we're inside the 35-40, it's great, like time to kick a field goal, but it's, at the same time, I'm kind of split because I want the team's success, 6 points instead of 3, or 7 instead of 3. So I'd rather be hitting PATs, but at the same time, I'd rather be hitting field goals because field goals are fun. That's what I'm here for. That's what my job is. But ultimately, I want the team's success, and 6 points is better than 3 points all the time. But on days like today and a week ago, just being ready no matter what, if you're in there half of the field, just kind of helps success. Thank you.
Yeah, a second thing. Any of the 5 field goals today stand out more than any of the others?
Yeah, I liked, my favorite field goal was the last one, not because of kind of the game dynamics of being like the game winner, but I think it was the best hit of the day. A couple of the hits, I'm pretty critical, especially about myself. A couple of the hits, I think the first one and the second one I wasn't very thrilled about, and the fourth one I wasn't very thrilled about. But that's kind of my after each kick, I analyze it and say, I liked it, I didn't like it. Kind of whether or not I made it, I analyze it and see if I liked it or not, and then move on. But definitely the last one stuck out to me the most.
Obviously, in order to make all 5 of your field goals today, obviously, credit going to the long snapper and the holder as well. Just talk about the dynamic that you 3 have as a trio, and yeah, just talk about that.
Yeah, I'm super lucky. Not every team has a snapper like Bailey on our team. I think he was perfect on laces every single time, like apart from being perfect on the spot for Sandy. And Bailey, what's great about what he can do is he can make Sandy's job super easy. And I think today he made Sandy's holding job very easy. So I don't want to take anything away from Sandy, but just I'm really lucky to have the 2 of them in my unit, along with the other 8 guys in protection, to make it easier for me. Because hitting like the 5 field goals today, it'd be a lot harder if the ball's in a different spot every time, and the timing of everything is different every time. So I'm just super fortunate to have them with me, and we're really close to each other off the field to help create the trust between ourselves, and we all love each other. Thank you.
Shaw just asked when he was in here with us the rhetorical question, is Joshua Carty the best kicker in America? And you said he might be there. Your reaction?
Yeah, of course I believe I am the best kicker in America. I kind of have to, but like even kind of an unbiased view is I still think I am, but a lot of that is due to my coach, Coach Alomar. He kind of pulled me aside before the season, and kind of reinforced why I'm here, like who I am, and kind of has helped me with my mentality a lot, along with sports psychologists along the way. But just to kind of reinforce, like, that belief in yourself and that you can do anything when called upon.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, we'll finish up today with Tanner McKee's questions. We'll start with Michael.
All right, Tanner, a pretty prolific game for you, over 300 yards passing, but none got in the end zone. Do you feel a void when that happens, or are you just happy with the 5 field goals that got the win on homecoming?
Yeah, obviously I have a lot of things to learn from, a lot of things to improve on, but I mean, I came off the field and I was like, wow, like that was a messy one to Coach David, and he's like, well, you still got to win the messy one. So obviously it was enough to get the dub, but obviously not good enough moving forward. So a lot of things to work on and a lot of things to get better at, but obviously happy with the result today.
We'll start with Ben.
How much, just talk about what it's like having a kicker in Josh Carty, and how much, obviously, goal is to get in the end zone every possession, but how much pressure does that take off of you when you know that, hey, if we don't get this drive done, you got a kicker like Carty behind you that's an almost automatic 3 points?
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. Like you said, our goal is to score a touchdown every single time. We're not playing out there to try to kick field goals, but it is nice when we come up a little short that Carty can be himself and be automatic and get those 3 points, because as you can see today, it was huge. So yeah, it's definitely a huge weapon that we're going to use. Hopefully we'll be able to keep him off the field a little bit more by scoring touchdowns, but he's been doing great, so super excited for him.
There seemed a couple times that you were a little hesitant to take off and run. You got sacked. There was a couple times, excuse me, where you kind of looked like you were going to take off and then something caught your attention or something else. Could you just touch on maybe if you feel like you're going to end up running more in the future, or if there just wasn't a read that you liked?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I feel like they did a good job of dropping, guys late, running some pretty funky coverages. So just trying to play football and react. Honestly, when you're out there, you're not thinking about a ton of different stuff. As a quarterback, your job is to distribute the ball into their playmakers' hands. So that's what I try to do at the best of my ability. And then when that doesn't work, obviously I feel comfortable using my legs and running. So yeah, that's basically it.
Hi, Tanner. Casey ran 32 times last week. This week you throw 57 times. I guess what went into that change from last week to this week? And also, if Casey's not able to go next week, could we expect more of you throwing a lot, against UCLA? Was this good practice for that?
Yeah, I mean, last week they ran a ton of cover 2 and made us run the ball, so that's what we did. And that's what's great about our offense. We're just going to take what the defense gives us. And so they ran a ton of 1 high, a lot of cover 1, a lot of cover 3 with the safety in the box to try to stop the run. So we try to take advantage of that and throw the ball as many times as possible. And, yeah, obviously we did throw a ton. Yeah, I think so. Definitely a lot of things to iron out and a lot of things that we can get better on as far as like a timing standpoint or me anticipating where guys are going to go or just different routes. I mean, I said it before, there's a few routes where we usually had Mike out there, but obviously he wasn't playing. So just getting comfortable and getting timing down with the other guys just so we don't have those dumb miscommunications when it should be an easy completion and we just don't get the conversion.
Could you talk about what your emotions are like as a quarterback or just as an offensive player in general when the game is on the line and it's up to the defense to get a stop? Just kind of what's going through your mind there and just kind of emotions when you see when it's out of your control and just how do you kind of deal with that emotionally?
Yeah, it's kind of funny being a quarterback because you want to amp everybody up, you want to get super fired up, and you've got to bring the fire and bring the juice. But then internally, you have to be cool, calm, collected, focused. This is my job. I'm thinking about a ton of different things, so I can't be too frantic or things like that. So, have a lot of trust in our defense. They've proved it before in the season. Last week and again this week that they're clutch in big time situations. So, just having a lot of confidence in them. Being on the sideline, trying to be a leader, trying to be a captain as much as I can. Just trying to help in any way I can. Obviously, when we're off the field, there's only so much that we can do, but giving run, pass calls, or getting the guys juiced up, or telling them on the sideline, or things like that.
So is there a sigh of relief to finally get this first conference win? And how much more gratifying does that feel now that going down to LA that you guys got at least one conference win after that big win in Notre Dame?
Yeah, it's big. Obviously, it brings a lot of momentum. I think it just shows that we can be really good when we play up to our standard and our expectations. And at least from an offensive perspective, I feel like in no way was this game up to our standard or our expectations. There's a ton that we can grow on, a ton that we can improve on. But Coach said we're never going to play perfect. We're going to have to play with the bumps. But obviously it gives us momentum, and we're very excited to go down to LA and play our best game that we've played so far.
Anything else from Tanner? Thanks, Tanner.
Awesome. Thank you.